दी हमें आजादी बिना खड़क बिना ढाल, साबरमती के संत तूने कर दिया कमाल।
आपकी आजादी आपको असली में किसने दिलाई
जी?
क्या दे दी हमें आजादी बिना खड़क बिना ढाल? क्या आपको नॉन वायलेंस से आजादी मिली? नहीं। प्लीज, लॉर्ड क्लेमेंट एटली
जी,
ब्रिटिश प्राइम मिनिस्टर, जब वो कलकत्ता आए 1956 में और हमारे गवर्नर, स्टेट गवर्नर चक्रवर्ती साहब के साथ ठहरे, तो उन्होंने उनसे पूछा कि साहब, जो क्विट इंडिया मूवमेंट थी गांधी जी की 42 में शुरू हुई, 44 तक फेल हो चुकी थी, फिर आप गए क्यों? उन्होंने बोला 3 शब्द, सुभाष चंद्र बोस, इंडियन नेशनल आर्मी।
The official narrative that India became free because of the soft power of ahimsa is probably not true. Multiple pieces of information have come to light, and in last couple of years, which they go on to show India's becoming free has to do more with Subhash Chandra Bose than anybody else. This story is true because we have a lot of documents which have become available, reports of intelligence bureau, reports from the military intelligence, so on and so forth. I would like to mention two very important things that Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, in his last interview, and it was he gave to the BBC, to Francis Watson, Baba Saheb Ambedkar has touched upon this point with how and why India became free, and he also said that Gandhi's role was almost negligible. British were not much troubled by the cult of ahimsa, and the reason they left is because of Subhash Bose and because Netaji caused rumblings within the Indian armed forces, and that's why they decided that they could no longer control this country because the armed forces were.
I do not know how suddenly Mr. Attlee agreed, to give independence. That's a matter of secret which Mr. Attlee one day, I think, will disclose in his autobiography, how he came to do that, because nobody ever expected. It is such a sudden change of front. Nobody ever expected. It seems to me, from the analysis that I make about it, there are two things which I think led, to the Labour Party to take this decision. One is the national army that was raised by Subhash Chandra Bose. The British had been ruling this country in the firm belief that whatever may happen, in this country, and whatever the politician may do, they will never be able, to change the loyalty of the soldier. That was the one prop on which they were carrying on their administration. Now that thing was completely dashed to pieces, when they found that even the soldier was being seduced, and to form a party or a battalion to blow off the British. Then I think the British came to the conclusion that if they were to rule India, the only basis on which they could rule was the maintenance of the British Army, going back to the year 1857, when the Indian soldier rebelled against the East India Company. And they found that it would never be possible for the British to supply India with enough European troops.
At that, in 1956, same probably 1 year after Baba Saheb said this thing, Clement Attlee, he was the Prime Minister of England, and he was the one who gave us this freedom in 47. Clement Attlee happened to be in India, and he went to Lucknow. He was very, I think, by all accounts, he was speaking his mind. He talked about Subhash Bose in Lucknow. Then he went to Calcutta, where he was, the acting governor, P.B. Chakravarti, who was the Chief Justice of Calcutta High Court. Chakravarti asked him a pointed question, why did you leave the country? Because, the Quit India movement had failed in 42 and it was probably over by 43. But you left in 46, 47. Why did you leave suddenly, and what was the main reason? This gentleman who was the reason, who was the person who took the decision to free India, he made it very clear it was because of Subhash Bose, and because of Subhash Bose there was a near revolt in the armed forces, and that's why they left this country.
The mighty British Empire, which was almost winning the Second World War. And when Prime Minister Attlee was told, and he came to this thing, and he was staying with the Chief Justice at that time, he said, why did you leave India? After all, you had won the Second World War. Like that, the worst was over. The Quit India movement had flopped in 1942. What was such much a tearing hurry in 47 that you said that no, we have to go immediately? He said it was not that. It was the spark that Bose had created among the soldiers of the Indian Army. He said we knew we will not be able to take this country and hold this country. It was the threat of Subhash Bose. rising of Indian nationalism, that we knew it's a matter of time. And if we do not quit voluntarily, we will quit in a way that there will be a bloodbath.
A great hero of India, Subhash Chandra Bose, and as rightly pointed out, Clement Attlee had come to Calcutta, and he told the Chief Justice of the Calcutta High Court, when he asked him, was it Gandhi's satyagraha which made you leave? He said no.
Yes.
It had nothing to do with it. So then he said, then what made you leave? He said the impact Subhash Bose had on the army and navy, and we knew then India had become untenable, and therefore we left. Gandhi and Nehru were convenient for us to hand over power and leave.